Gam Ganapatiye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapatiye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapatiye Namaha. Om Brahma Mera Striparan Takare Banushashi Bhumisuto Buddhasha Gurusha Shukra Shani Rahu Keteva Sarvigraha Shantikara Bhavantu. Om. Alright, well, greetings and welcome to another episode of KozmicKev100 Astrology, your weekly astro video zine, where we take the planets known as grahas or grabbers and see their choreography on the universe and how it's affecting us. So, if we looked at the sky today to look at the moon, we wouldn't really see much of a moon because yesterday we had a new moon, and that was in the lunar mansion known as Pushama, which is ruled by Saturn. Its symbol is the udders of a cow, and it's about nourishment, nurturing, and its ruling deity is Lord Brisapati, another name for Jupiter, guru to the gods, giving us really right conduct. And this particular new moon is actually the mercy for us all at this time, because this is a pretty rough time cosmically speaking right now. We have Mars in the sidereal sign of Aries, and Uranus in the sidereal sign of Aries, and Rahu in the sidereal sign of Aries. So that means, when I say sidereal, it means like if we're looking astronomically, you know, versus Western astrology, which what most of this show is about. In the actual looking at the constellation, it's in a fiery constellation there of Aries, so there's a lot of selfishness, there's a lot of overheating, there's a lot of kind of unconventional behavior and maybe skirting rules to get what we want or what other people want from us. And of course this has been going on for a couple weeks now, and we've seen this world heating where a week and a half ago or so London was 105 degrees. I mean, this was unheard of before, so there's record-breaking heat all over the world from that. So bringing it down to Earth in our Western forecasts, you know, we look in the sky today, we'd see the moon, if that first sliver in the constellation of Cancer, but we would say it's a Leo moon, and it was a Leo new moon. And the sun being in Leo, that's also fire, that's also hot. So either way you look at it, whether you're looking at the cosmos itself and the sidereal zodiac, or you're looking at the seasonal based tropical astrology, we're in kind of this hot zone right now, and wanting to just bring some cooler energy as we go through this week. So I mean, without any further ado, the other thing I wanted to mention is that Jupiter went retrograde a couple days ago, or yesterday, and so whenever a planet goes retrograde, it slows down. So when we have Saturn retrograde right now, we've got Jupiter retrograde. These are the two older, wiser planets. They're telling us, hey, you need to obey cosmic law. You need to pursue the higher path. You know, you need to get down with Mother Earth, be a little bit more in touch with your concept of God. You know, my concept of God is love. I also like Byron Katie's concept of God. God is reality. So if you don't believe in God, you don't believe in reality. I just say that. That's a laugh. So we can just go and look at that. So, you know, just obeying natural law, universal law, and realizing sometimes where the more potent power forces, as far as like money and resources go, they can often manipulate things to the detriment of other humans and other life on the planet's non-humans. So we just have to, you know, pray for compassion for everyone. We can't just get mad at those people. What we have to do is empower ourselves to be the best we can be, and to set an example that'll make them want to follow us. All right, so with that said, we're going to go sign by sign, starting with you, Aries, and give you your, you know, and this is by sun sign, but if you know your moon sign or your rising sign, it's good to look at those as well, because they have a lot to say as well. So, greetings, Aries, welcome to your horoscope. Now, Mars is in the sign of Taurus in Western astrology, so that's your second house. And Second house is about resources. Second house is about family. Second house is about being more open to speaking, and it's also what we put in our mouth. It involves our face, our neck. Ultimately, though, it involves our values, and it's also a lot of times about how we were treated between the ages of 7 and 14 years old when we were growing up. You know, some might say 5 to 12. I mean, I think we're growing up slower all the time. Not necessarily. I'm just thinking of like the older baby boomers when I was a little kid, you know, like 5 or so. They were forming bands at 14 and stuff. I'm like, they hit the ground running. And there's some young people like that, but I think overall things have been delayed. And so for you, Aries, you're not all about delays. You like things to be somewhat on the immediate. But I think right now what I see is that your family needs support. You need to eat a better diet that's healthy, that's based on just natural, non-processed foods. Drink lots of water. Keep yourself cool. Don't be afraid to help other people. But don't be in any kind of impatience or hurry. Give yourself plenty of distance from other cars while you're driving, whatever you're doing. Because it's a volatile time right now. And I just want all my people doing good. And so, tomorrow, the moon's going to move into Virgo as we go into the week. So taking care of your needs and around your home, helping other people, some volunteer work, all of that's going to go really nice. All right. Greetings, Taurus, and welcome to your horoscope. So Taurus has a lot of courage right now. Taurus has the benefit of Mars. Taurus is also trying to think outside of the box. This is because of the north node of the moon, and this is also because of Uranus. And, in the sidereal zodiac and Jyotish, Vedic astrology, we always associate the north node of the moon with Aquarius somewhat. In Western astrology, we associate Uranus with Aquarius somewhat. So, since both of these are in Taurus, as well as your Mars moving past there's a lot of unconventional push. And so, by nature, we want to do good. We want to preserve things. Like one of the nice things about the sign of Taurus is its key phrases I have, and it deals primarily with satisfaction and honoring the earth. It's slower moving and it's fixed, and that a lot of times people in Western astrology say fixed signs are about status quo to some extent. I don't think of that in terms so much as economic bullying status quo, but more like, hey, let's preserve what's good. Parks are nice. Let's not turn our park into a freaking shopping mall, even if it does mean a temporary gain, because ultimately nature's going to bat last, and the better we're able to work with nature, the better we're going to be doing. We always like to look at Venus too. Venus has been transiting Cancer. That is your third house. So making friends more. Good relationships start with friendships. If you have sisters, paying attention to your sisters. This is also a good thing to do at this time. All right, greetings Gemini, and welcome to your horoscope. So Leo time of year for Gemini is about the third house. What could be more Gemini than the third house? The third house is sometimes referred to as the library of the zodiac. It's a place where we receive information. It also has to do with travel, like especially short trips, regional trips. I here live in a region, sometimes I refer to it as the Ishi Nation, but it's a lot of First Peoples, Yahi, Maidu, Winnemucca, Wintu, Shastan, many First Peoples, Concow were here in this area, and so I want to thank those First Peoples and for that legacy of this beauty of this wonderful land that we have, first of all. The other thing is we're in a place right now where we get a lot of information overload, and the very people that are claiming that there's misinformation are spreading misinformation. I would say that on any side of whatever you look at, we want to be able to kind of remove ourselves from anything that's going to push us into a place of reaction. You know, it's one thing to do positive reaction, like mulching your garden so you don't use as much water. That's good stuff. That's good environmental stuff. Connecting with your neighbors. You've got different fruit trees, sharing your fruit, sharing things from your garden. These are the things that make great community, and that's really ultimately what the third house is about. And the other thing is that, in Western Zodiac, we like to associate Leo with generosity. It's like the king, it's also like a good father. And good fathers take care of their kids. That's it. If you're out there listening and you are a father and you're ignoring that part of your life, it's time to step it up, I would say, because it'll be good karma for you, and it'll ultimately bring a healing to your family. All right, so greetings, Cancer, and welcome to your horoscope. So last week was we just went into Leo. Here we are going into the second week of Leo. That's your second house. Second house is about money. Second house is about being able to be financially solvent and being able to facilitate needs, especially for the family. I was saying before, second house is a lot about what we go through between age 7 and 14. We kind of get this identity. And it's hard not to be fixated on that. Of course, we go through a lot of changes from 14 to 21. It's more of our third house years. Venus is in your first house. So Venus in the first house brings more love. It brings a sweetness. It brings people that are creative in your life. It helps you be more relaxed, having a more relaxed personality. And what a wonderful thing. Have you ever been in a place where you're just really stressed and you see somebody who's incredibly relaxed and chill, and you're like, wow, I just want to hang out in this person's presence right now because it just feels so much calmer. And when someone's all like, oh my God, did you hear the latest on Democracy Now? I mean, it's like, holy crap. I mean, will you just like cool your jets for a second here? Or it could be Fox News, or it could be, CNN. It doesn't have to be any one of those legacy medias. It's like, we are not that news. Let's remember that, first of all. We have a special mission, each one of us, to give. And Cancer, our mission is mainly to nurture others, to make it safe for us to show our feelings and be okay, and to treat everyone like family. That's the sacred mission of Cancer. And if you haven't heard that before, I'm happy to share this with you. Also, with this Mars-Uranus North Node thing in the 11th house for you, it's like this is a time to gather people together that are of like mind and have great ideas. And let's create something that is calming, that is reassuring, that is bringing a better situation in our lives and the lives of other people. All right, so we are moving forward into Leo territory, and I just want to say, if you're a Leo having a birthday this week, I'm going to give a birthday shout out to my friend Ted Shred, who's having a birthday this week, and to all, there's so many of you out there, all you Leo folks that are having birthdays this week. May it be full of love, appreciation, good times, watermelon, swimming holes, and all good things associated with summer. Okay, so we've got, Venus is in the 12th house. So there's, there might be people in your life that aren't always honest. And yet at the same time, it's like, you also need more time to relax and sleep and just kind of process what you've been through in the last week or so. Now, Mercury is now in your first house, so you've got a lot on your mind. We've got the moon in your first house, so you're really kind of in this active mental state right now. And, with that nakshatra of Alesha today, too, I could see that spurring on more mental stuff. And it's like sometimes we just sort of need to de-stress the mind, calm down, and both Zen Buddhism, even Tibetan Buddhism, a lot of it just pay attention to the breath. Take a deep breath. Just notice the breath. Don't think about thoughts. If you see thoughts, just say, oh, thoughts, there you are again. Thanks for coming. You can go away now. And allow your mind to just sort of have a fast, like de-stress. Stop thinking. Don't worry about it. If your mind goes blank, good. A blank canvas is there for full of possibilities. We don't need to fill things up all the time. And this is your solar new year. So this is where you're having your birthday and stuff coming up, and if you haven't had it already, so there's kind of a freshness. So your intentions and what you put out there is going to be a little more powerful this time of year, especially in this waxing moon cycle. So it's just being more conscious of that. Jupiter is said to be a friend of the sun. Jupiter is in a constellation of, well, it's in the constellation of Pisces, but it's in the sign of Aries in Western astrology. And Aries rules your 9th house, so that's extra Jupiter. That's like really strong energy, and if you have a rift with your father, this would be a perfect time to heal it. This is a good time to honor your teachers. This is a good time to travel. It's a good time for Leo. Alright, greetings Virgo, and welcome to your horoscope. So for Virgo, it's like we're decompressing. We need more alone time during Leo time, really. It's just like all this fireworks and huffing and puffing and posturing. It really isn't suited to our Virgo nature. We like things that are modest, but we do enjoy nature a lot. And getting out in the wilderness, since Virgo really is symbolic of the wilderness. The Wilderness Act in the United States happened during Virgo time, while the sun was in Virgo. So this is a powerful thing to think about. When we say Virgo as the virgin, it means untouched. Wilderness areas are untouched. You get out in a wilderness area, there's so much of a peace. It's so beautiful, it's so lovely. And it can really, some people are nature phobes. They're scared of the wild because they're only used to artificial environments. They forget that they're out of the zoo. And that they can be they can be a natural being with the other creatures of the earth, and just being that natural being. Even like skinny dipping or sunbathing, it's just anything that kind of gets you more in touch with the earth and gets all those material increments that we use to identify ourselves away from ourselves. It's going to be healing for you. And any spiritual work you do, if you go on a spiritual retreat, anything like that is extra powerful for you during this time. It's like 12th house transits is sort of the ashram, and it's also getting enough sleep and making sure you get enough alone time. And just stay out of trouble. That's generally what we do, because it can be a time of loss, so you watch your finances. Hello Libra, and welcome to your horoscope. What we see here is a good time for getting your career up, getting recognition for what your abilities are. It's also sort of a time to throw a party, because Sun's transiting your 11th house. 11th house makes for a nice party, makes for good social environment, social engagement. And I think the weather's usually nice at some point in the day, maybe in the morning or just after the sun goes down, and so you could do some kind of outdoor meeting that can facilitate a good time with each other. And celebrating all the food. We're getting full force into harvest time. Now pears are starting to come out. There's of course peaches and nectarines and grapes and so many wonderful fruits and food. Summer vegetables. All of these things are to be celebrated. It's an art form, and you can use that. And as far as like this Uranus-Mars thing in the 8th house, you can't control other people. And I think it's super important to remember right now. And so there might be some things that happen are just kind of like fate and weird. Just relax, and if you need help, ask others for help, because this is a powerful time to get the help you need. Alright, greetings Scorpio, and welcome to your horoscope. So Leo time for Scorpio is sort of like, this is where you're performing your karmic duty to the public. So taking care of stuff, making things nicer. Any way you can do that, it's going to be a good reflection on you. It's also a place where you show leadership too. And the thing about Scorpio, it's nice, this Mars Pluto thing is that, yeah, like Aries, it wants to get rid of evil and it wants to show it has initiative, but it moves a little slower. It's a fixed sign. And it's also water. Water's a more feminine element. And it's like, wait a second, I sense something. And Pluto's like that too. Pluto's like more watery. It's like, there's something else going on here. I'm getting a bigger insight. Because let's remember, Pluto's that furthest out planet, so it's seeing the whole picture. And most of us, to be honest with you, we do not see the whole picture, not like a Scorpio does. And so having this greater insight, you have to be gentle about it. You can't force it on other people because they won't accept it. They only accept, the legacy news stuff that's like regurgitated to them constantly. Be afraid, be very afraid. It's like, okay, yeah, right. Good, you do that. You cannot make good decisions when you're in fear. You have to show some kind of courage and really having a spiritual life and kind of checking in a meditation place and really getting in touch with your feelings. You're going to make better decisions, and those decisions, you might have more responsibility at work over the next couple weeks. That's okay. Welcome it and do the best you can with it. Greetings, Sagittarius, and welcome to your horoscope. So what we're seeing with you is, let's first of all, we'll look at the 5th house where Jupiter's transiting. This is your children, and if you're a Sagittarius with children, I mean, overall, children can be a blessing, but they also can be really challenging because they have their own wills. Jupiter's going retrograde, so it was like, oh, I had so much hope for my child, but now it just seems like, hey, wait a second. One thing about a retrograde planet is also it's closer to the Earth. And so, in a sense, some would say, oh, the energy of that planet goes introspected, goes within. There's some truth to that. But the other thing is that the energy of that planet actually gets a lot more powerful as it's slowing down. And I guess what I've heard is that whenever Jupiter does go retrograde, it goes in 10-degree cycles. So it's going to go 10 degrees from where it is now when it goes back. So we can think of stuff that happened in late spring that maybe wasn't completed or finished, and now we're going to have another chance to work on that, especially in creative projects. So if you're a Sagittarius that does creative works, I would be focusing more on that right now. I mean, of course, Leo being another fire sign, trining your sun, it makes this a really nice time of year for you, and a really good time for you to travel. And so I see you traveling and having a good time. All right, moving on over to Capricorn. Oh boy. So, Saturn right now is in your 2nd house, and Saturn's been retrograde, and so you're really dealing more with finances. How do I get my finances order? How do I keep things going? How about family members too? And my family members, friends that seem to be involved with my family as well. And about my own personal image. Is my image as a person that's slow? Sometimes that's with Saturn. Depressed? Sometimes that's with Saturn. Or brilliant, very smart, educated, broad-minded. Those are also Saturn concepts too. Having good boundaries, that's very Saturn. At the same time, knowing when to let some of the boundaries down, when to kind of open your heart. Because in a lot of ways, Saturn's Capricorn, Aquarius, it's furthest away from Leo and Cancer, and they're sort of like the parents of the zodiac, and they sort of want us to be in our heart, and they want us to play, and they want us to have a good time. And you're here, you're like the children that teach the parents, Capricorn, and you deal with the nuts and bolts of the zodiac and just how to make things work in a better structure. Okay, so, and you have Pluto, goodness gracious, still in your 1st house, so that gives you insight. So Pluto's really affecting you if you're born between the 15th and the 20th of January. You people are getting the biggest hits from Pluto. Well, hello Aquarius, and welcome to your horoscope. So there we are. Old man Saturn or old woman Saturn, right in your first house. And so it's like things are slowed down, to some extent. And long-term goals have to be considered. Where is this all going to? Haven't you asked that question to yourself with the last 2 years of restrictions and whatnot? It's like, what are they doing with all of this? Is there something else going on? You think? Oh, you can bet on it. If history proves itself, we don't have to, you don't have to get real too far out on a conspiratorial twinge to see that whenever there's crisis, there's people that are able to take over and use that crisis to their benefit. Now, if good people can use this crisis to their benefit to make a better world, that's the kind of Aquarian thinking I like, and that's what I'm hoping is going to happen. Also, let's look at Leo. Leo's your partnership sign, Aquarius, so this is what dictates kind of romance, also how you perform in the career world, because they're interfacing with you, and that's part of your helping fulfilling someone else's dream, really, when you're an employee and you're working for them, or even in a relationship. We're fulfilling each other's dreams. And so getting out of your head and getting into your heart, that's the real message this week. And one of the best acts of love is acts of service. So with Venus in your 6th house, take note of helping serve others, and you're a sweet talker, you'll make it work. All right, we're wrapping things up here. Greetings, Pisces. Welcome to your horoscope. So what I'm seeing with you this week is Leo is in your 6th house. So Leo's a lot of work, right? Yeah. And Leo is taking care of your health. And yeah, I wish we were out of the woods with this excited, celebrated virus that's going around, but unfortunately, we're still working with all kinds of weird stuff. So, the best thing you can do, though, for yourself is, avoid things that cause inflammation, and that would be refined foods. Like the worst stuff would be like corn syrup and seed oils and hydrogenated oils. So those are yeah, I know, I'm sorry to say that. Olive oil's cool, coconut oil's not too bad, avocado oil's decent. Actually even tallow and lard are a lot better for you than seed oils. And so, a lot of our health is deteriorated just from bad oils, and it's just too many flour products, refined stuff. Eating whole foods, it's better to eat corn on the cob that's organic than to eat corn chips. And it's better to have watermelon than just watermelon juice. Getting whole fiber, whole food. It's good to have, if you're eating meat and animals that are pasture raised, that they're getting grass and they're getting bugs and they're getting the full spectrum. That's going to help you, and staying hydrated and getting enough sleep, and sleeping when it's dark versus sleeping in late. Your organs are set to regenerate between 10 at night and 6 in the morning. So that's the perfect time to be sleeping. You don't want to sleep too much past that, and you really want to try and get yourself to bed a little bit earlier. And that's fine, Now, since Jupiter is retrograde and it's in your 2nd house, actually there's going to be some financial rewards coming your way. And there's going to be some family and ancestral healing that you can work on this week. That's going to be really good for you. And I see this is kind of a romantic weekend for Pisces too. So with Moon in your 7th house this weekend. So I see a lot of cool things happening for you. And I just want you to know that there's a lot of hope. And just to kind of recap things, fire them burn. We've got a lot of planets in fiery places, and so whatever we can do to just keep things chilled, be compassionate, open-hearted to each other, it's going to make things better. It's Cosmic Kev with your KozmicKev100 astrology forecast. Make some comments, subscribe, share it on your social media, tell a friend. I love you all. I appreciate your comments. Be with you again next week.